Ladies and gentlemen, Winsome Sears, our next lieutenant governor. Good morning. How's everybody? Come on now, here we go. We've got work to do. We've got work to do. We all know it. And the fact that you're here means that you share one basic emotion that Winsome and I share, along with Jayson and everybody else that's running for office, is we love the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we're going to go rescue her. This is why we're all here. By the way, I love being here. Skipping Rock Beer Company. But we had a great rally inside back during the convention period. I actually love Wright's Dairy. That was my very first stop and stand. I love Wright's Dairy. They actually put a sign up, "Welcome Glenn Youngkin." That was before anybody knew who I was. They're like, "Who is that?" So I just want to thank all of y'all for coming this morning. Because this is how we're going to win. We're all going to come together and do something amazing. Something amazing. Because guess what? Virginia's future depends on it. It depends on it. And what Winsome and I see, along with Jayson, because we campaign a ton together. Sometimes we have to split up, sometimes we're together, but we're running together. And we're running with delegates all over Virginia. Is that there is something amazing going on. You feel it everywhere we go. Crowds are huge. By the way, it's folks from all over. It's, yes, Republicans, but it's independents, it's Democrats. It's folks from all walks of life coming together and with a basic truth, which is where we are is not where we want to be, and to get where we want to go, we need different leadership. That's what everybody knows. God, the polls are telling us this race is neck and neck. The Washington Post said earlier this summer, Glenn Youngkin has a surprisingly good chance of winning in November. That was the Washington Post. By the way, I cut that out and put it in my scrapbook. That was pretty special. That'll be a real relic at one point. Folks, this is what's happening. And we all have to make it. We have to make it happen. It doesn't just happen. And that's why we're all here together. So let me tell you, every morning, Jayson and Winsome and I were texting. What are you doing today? Where are you? Where can we be? Let's talk to so-and-so. What are we doing on this front? What policy? Jayson was working hard this past week in the House of Delegates, standing up for all the things we believe in. But what we saw this week was single-party rule demonstrate. They didn't listen to anybody. You know, there's a famous quote that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. What we saw this week was that emotion. They just jammed through everything. They didn't listen to a thing. And guess what? We're about to change all of that come this fall. We're going to change all of that. I have really modest ambitions. We're going to sweep our statewide races. Sweep them. We, in fact, are going to take back our House of Delegates. And we are going to win races all over this Commonwealth. School board races, sheriff races, supervisory board races, city council races. Did I say school boards? Do we know school boards matter? School boards matter. Folks, we're going to win races all over this Commonwealth and make a statement that this is a movement. And this is not just a movement on behalf of Virginians. It's a movement on behalf of America. Because America is watching right now. There's only 2 statewide races this year. New Jersey and Virginia. And I met Jack, who's running for governor in New Jersey, and he is a great candidate. I don't know if he can win. I hope he does. But everybody's got their eyes on Virginia. Why? Because something special is going on, and we are about to send a shockwave through the system that a Republican won in Virginia. Now, elections have consequences. They just do. We've seen it in action for the last 8 years, and the consequences for Virginians have been crushing. And we're gathered here today to talk about one particular issue, one mightily important issue, which is our safe communities that are no longer safe. How many people here actually feel safer than they did 8 years ago? Okay, that's 100 for 100. I have yet to ask that question to see anybody raise their hand. Friends, we know what's happening in our law enforcement community. And we know what's happening in our first responder community, which is the left liberal leadership, this progressive leadership, is actually undermining, defunding, demoralizing. And as a result, our communities are less safe. Let's be clear. Stats tell everything. We're at a 20-year high in murder rate in Virginia. Winsome and I were campaigning in Richmond yesterday. In 1 year, the murder rate in Richmond's gone up 40%. Every single sheriff that I speak with, Sheriff Robertson included, tells me that they, in fact, are having a harder and harder time keeping fully staffed. So many of them are down between 10 and 25% in staffing. They're seeing retirements. Why? We don't pay them enough, folks. Why? Because we have government that demoralizes them. Why? Because they want to take qualified immunity away, and that absolutely is another way to defund police. To actually put their homes at risk for frivolous civil lawsuits, their savings. This is just another way my opponent, Terry McAuliffe, wants to defund police. He's actually stood up and said he wants to get rid of qualified immunity. He did not even have the dignity to attend a meeting with the Police Benevolent Association, which represents thousands, 7,000 of our heroes across this great Commonwealth. He didn't even show up. Jayson showed up, Winsome showed up, I showed up, we listened. We know what we need to do. We first need to invest in law enforcement. We have to invest in law enforcement. Yes, we have to invest in higher compensation so we can actually recruit folks. We have to invest in equipment and training so that they, in fact, have the best capabilities. We actually have to recognize that if we don't do this, we're going to wake up one day and, as Winsome said, no one's going to be there on the phone. We have to protect qualified immunity. We have to press forward and recognize that laws have been passed that make it impossible for them to do the most important part of their job, which is preemptive policing. Can't pull anybody over for a broken taillight any longer. Can't actually serve a search warrant after 5 o'clock without a special authorization from a judge that's hard to find. This is what's happened to policing in Virginia. And this is why we are where we are. So we need new leadership. New leadership who will invest in law enforcement, who will invest in our first responders to make sure they have the equipment and training they need as well. This is what you're going to get when I go work for you as your governor, when Winsome goes works for you as your lieutenant governor, when Jayson goes to work for you as your attorney general, and we, in fact, take back control of our House of Delegates. We are going to stand up for law enforcement because we know they stand up for us. That's what we're going to do. Friends, Winsome said our schools are in trouble. We all know it. We all know it. Our schools have, in fact, not been serving our children well. Not the teachers. It's not the teachers. It's the education unions behind them. It's government behind them. We actually saw Terry McAuliffe lower standards across Virginia. He didn't like the fact that 88 schools in Virginia didn't actually get their accreditation. So rather than go fix the schools, he just lowered the standards so that not one would pass. That's what he did. They took the standards down for our children's math and reading to the 50th in America. We have the lowest standards in America for our kids to progress. Is it any surprise that, as Winsome said, we have kids, over 80% of black children, 70% of Latino children, 45% of white children. By the way, that disparity's got to close. It's all got to come down. Who cannot pass a math equivalency test in 8th grade. Friends, we have to fix this by raising standards. We have to fix this by getting critical race theory out of our schools and teaching our
Absolutely.
We have to press forward with school choice. And yes, we have to invest in the schools. we actually proposed that a reasonably big chunk of this money that came from the federal government would be used to reinvest in facilities and teachers. This is what we have to do. Friends, when we actually are working for you, you can absolutely count on our schools being returned to a standard of excellence and working for all of you, not for the teachers' unions. That's what we're going to do. Finally, we have to turn our job machine back on in Virginia. Now, I'll just be clear with you. Virginia received this ranking from CNBC of being ranked the best state in America for business. I love Virginia to get accolades, but we are not performing like we're the best state in America to do business. It's like a basketball team that got ranked number 1 in the country beginning of the season and didn't make the tournament. I mean, this is what we got. Because Virginia has actually seen over and over again the states around us grow much faster. Maryland, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Over the last 8 years, they've grown 30 to 50% faster than Virginia every year. They've created more jobs. Our cost of living is, in fact, higher than the national average. That's why Virginians are leaving. And they're moving to Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Texas. They're moving out of Virginia faster than moving here from the other 49 states. We got to go fix this. We got to get the job machine turned back on. We got to bring manufacturing jobs to Virginia. We have to create paths to these jobs through our community colleges and vocational schools, provide all Virginians a chance to live here. We can get this done. My opponent, by the way, wants to get rid of right to work. And friends, let me just tell you, we get rid of right to work, it will force every Virginian, where there is a union, to join the union. Forced unionization. Friends, this is no path to success. It will actually ruin Virginia's business climate. It's not an anti-union comment. It's a comment around people having a choice.
It's the truth.
And, thank you. It will ruin Virginia. There is a clear distinction between what's on the ballot this fall. And we have to go to work. We have to stand up for our constitutional rights. We have to press forward with election reforms, including requiring everybody to show up with a photo ID when they vote. So here we go. This is not about me, and this is not about Winsome. This is about all of us locking arms together and making it happen this fall. Virginians do not follow. We don't settle. We lead. This is what we do. We've been doing it from the founding of this great country. Virginia's history is our nation's history. And our nation's future will absolutely be rested in Virginia's present. This election will fundamentally change the course of Virginia's future and our country's. So we need you. We need you. Here's what we're going to do. We need you to volunteer. We need you to sign up on our website, youngkinforgovernor.com. We need you to actually sign up for the clipboards around here, if that's the way you want to do it. But we need you to volunteer, to knock doors, to make phone calls, to write letters, to walk up and down your street, and get everybody engaged. We need you to volunteer as election observers. We need you to volunteer to hand out sample ballots on election season, because it's going to last for 45 days. And finally, we need all of you to vote early. Now listen to me really carefully here. We are asking everybody to go vote early. Why? Because then I can ask you, please go get 10 friends to come vote with you. Ask them to go vote on September 17th or 18th. Then call them afterwards. Say, did you go vote? And if they didn't go vote because something happened, say, well, I'm sorry that happened, but how about voting on the 20th? If they hadn't voted on the 20th, call them back again and say, can I come pick you up and take you to vote? We have to get turnout like we've never had before. And we're going to use the whole 45 days to get it. Because guess what? That's what the Democrats do. And we're going to go battle to win by getting everybody out to vote. That's what we're going to do. And I need your help to do that. Finally, I'd ask you all to include us in your prayers. Now, I'm a first-time candidate. We're putting everything we've got into this. My family is in it. My wife, my kids. I know Winsome's the same way. Jayson's the same way. Every delegate. Every school board race. Put us in your prayers if you happen to have a prayer list. Because it matters. It matters. It gives us the strength and encouragement to go every day. We are going to win this race. We are going to win. So your next course of action is to come up here, please get a picture with us, and post it. Post it on your Facebook page. Post it on your whatever social media you use. And tell your friends, we're for Glenn. We're for Winsome. We're for Delegate Ronnie. We're for Delegate of Augusta. And then get them out. And then second of all, pick up a sign, get a bumper sticker, put it in your yard. I'll tell you a quick story real quick. Sorry, I'm telling stories. So there's a reporter and a columnist in Richmond who doesn't like me very much because he knows we're going to win. And this past weekend, he had to write because he didn't have a choice. He said, I drive around Richmond, and I've never seen more political signs before, and they're all for Youngkin. This is what's happening. So please get a sign. And finally, let's go to work. We can do this. Let's go, Virginia. Let's go win. Come on now. We can do this. God bless Virginia. God bless you guys.